true. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and in earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? I can tell you the whole story.
I loved the old man. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And this I did for 7 long nights. Every night, just at midnight. But I found the eye closed, and so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there were, opening the door, little by little, and he, not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. Who is there? I kept quiet, still, and said nothing. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. Ah! It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no! I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in bed. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor, or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. Although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a little, a very, very little crevice in the lantern, until, at length, a simple dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot out of the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled me to the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray, as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And I have not told you what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the sense. Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet, I refrained and kept still. Yet for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder, louder. And now, a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. Ah! He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. The old man was dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you would think no longer when I described the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. First of all, I dismembered the corpse, cut off the head, the arms, and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. As the bell sounded at the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information had been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, had been deputed to search the premises. The shriek, I said, was my own dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent in the country. I bade them search well. I led them, at length, to his chamber. I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of my victim. The officers were satisfied, but ere long I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt, I grew very pale. It was a low, dull, quick sound. Much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and the officers heard it not. The noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated upon the boards. But the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no. They heard, they suspected, they knew well. They knew were making a mockery of my horror. This, I thought, and as I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark, louder, louder, louder and louder. Villains, I shrieked, dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here is the beating of his hideous heart.